So, before we really dive into the Catholic Reformation, we're going to look at something here in chapter 18 that is kind of the result of the Catholic response to what was going on in the Reformation. But we're going to kind of rewind because this is important to note. 1492, we think of Columbus sailed the ocean blue, right? But with that, in that period of time, we also had the encounter with the Americas from Europe. And that's important to note because the conquest, the conquistadors, they brought not only the sword, but they brought Catholicism. And this chapter, it deals with many kind of things that were going on in the world around the time period we're in, but here in chapter 18, we're going to look at the encounter between the Spanish and the Indians in America. So this chapter, we're going to watch a film called La Otra Conquista. The film is in Spanish, but it has English subtitles. I'll give you a little bit of a warning. The film is kind of gruesome at times because it's dealing with the ritualistic sacrifice of humans, but only kind of in slight. So basically, the parts that are really kind of like over the top are very few, but they earn the R rating. So the rest of the film is not as bad as the parts that I'm warning you of. So of course, use some discretion, but keep in mind that the hold on, there's something on my screen. I have to close it. But do keep in mind that it is, of course, a little bit gruesome. So go ahead and watch the film. There's an accompanying review of the film, which is important here because it gives you some insight from kind of a scholarly, sort of informed perspective of the value of the film. We're not just watching a movie for the sake of watching a movie. In fact, to be honest with you, if it were not for the sake of studying this concept here, I would not watch this film because it is, like I said, kind of intense at a couple of points, and there's the abuse that the Indians endure at the hands of the Spanish, and it's kind of hard to watch. But for the value of the history here, we're going to watch the film. So read the accompanying review that goes along with it and watch the film, and we're going to do a discussion as well for this chapter that deals with the concept of syncretism. Now, syncretism is where you find the melding of two or more different sort of belief systems. So what we find in the Americas and in Mexico with Catholicism is kind of this attempt to blend the new influence of Catholicism and European religion with the indigenous religion at the time. And you will see in the film how they basically put Mary in the place of the goddess that was already being worshipped at the time, literally erecting temple, churches and cathedrals and basilicas where worship sites to these other gods would have been. And that was really historically a deliberate attempt to kind of meet the people where they were at, to bring them this new religion, and it kind of turns out to be successful. Now it goes into a lot more depth than that, but on the discussion you're going to talk about that particular aspect, and you'll see the question on the discussion board that goes along with it. So read the chapter, watch the film, read the review to the film, take the quiz, and then do the discussion on syncretism.